Lectures 101 and 102. If you haven't seen my previous video where I'm going over quantum metaphysics, probability fields, the faculty that revolves around these things, I suggest you check out part 1. So we're going to talk about the collapsing wave function of destiny. So the Copernican error of astrology. Before we begin, we're going to observe a natal chart. Sun in Pisces, Moon in Libra, Ascendant in Taurus, real person born March 3rd, 2026 at 4:17 a.m. GMT. Now I want you to ask yourself, where is this chart? Is it on the paper, in the computer, in the sky? The answer, which would have satisfied astrologers for the past 4,000 years, is the chart is a map of the sky at the moment of birth. That answer is wrong. The chart is not a map. The chart is a wave function. Let me explain. In 1927, Werner Heisenberg formulated the uncertainty principle. You cannot know both the position and momentum of a particle without perfect accuracy. The more you know one, the less you know the other. This is not a limitation of measurement technology. It is a fundamental property of reality. Niels Bohr took this further. The Copenhagen interpretation states that a quantum system exists in all possible states simultaneously until an observation forces it to collapse into one definite state. Schrodinger's cat is both alive and dead until you open the box. So for 100 years, physicists have argued about what this means. Does consciousness collapse the wave function? Does measurement? Does decoherence? I'm here to tell you, astrology answers this question. Because you, every one of you, are walking wave functions, and your birth chart is the set of all possible states available to your specific consciousness at its specific space-time coordinate. Let that sink in. Your sun sign is not a fixed point. It is a probability cloud until you observe it, until you live it. Part 2 is the double slit experiment and your moon sign. I want you to visualize the double slit experiment. You fire electrons at a barrier with 2 slits. On the other side, a detector screen records where they land. If you don't measure which slit they go through, they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern. If you do measure which slit, they behave like particles, creating 2 bands. The act of observation changes the outcome. The act of observation changes the outcome. Alright. Now, consider your moon sign. And what we just talked about, moon is in Libra, in the 6th house. Textbook interpretation is emotional fulfillment through relationships, harmony, and service to others. But here's the question. Is that interpretation true before the native experiences it? According to quantum mechanics, no. Before the native lives their emotional life, before they observe their own moon, it exists in superposition. It is simultaneously Libra moon and every other moon sign in every possible house with every possible aspect. The act of living, of making choices, of having experiences, collapses the wave function into the Libra moon we see. But here's the mind-bending part. The chart shows all the possibilities that were collapsed. Let's look at the aspects. Moon square Mars, 752 degrees applying. Moon trine Neptune, 940 degrees applying. These are not just influences. These are interference patterns, the remnants of quantum entanglement between the native's emotional wave function and the planetary wave functions at the moment of birth. So when Mars squared Moon at birth, it created a phase relationship between 2 quantum systems. That relationship persists. It means that when the native feels anger, which is Mars, it will always be entangled with their emotional state, Moon. not because Mars causes anger, but because their wave functions were coupled at the moment both systems became observable. Let's get into part 3, which is the twins paradox, a quantum resolution. Astrology's oldest objection, identical twins, born minutes apart, with nearly identical charts, live different lives. How? Classical astrologer stammers, the skeptic smirks, the quantum astrologer smiles and says, superposition. Identical twins are born with nearly identical wave functions, the same set of possible states, but they are different observers. They collapse different aspects of the shared probability field through different acts of attention, different choices, and different experiences. Imagine 2 detectors in the double-slit experiment, placed side by side. They receive the same wave function, but each electron lands at a different point on the detector. The interference pattern is the same, but the individual detection events are unique. Twins are 2 detectors receiving the same wave function. Their lives are the individual detection events. The chart is the interference pattern, the statistical distribution of all possible lives. The twins' actual life is 1 point on that distribution. This is why twins can have such different experiences while sharing a chart. One collapses the career success probability, the other collapses the spiritual seeking probability. Both were present in the wave function, both were real possibilities. The chart didn't predict which would happen, it described the field of possibilities from which the actual life emerged. Let's look at part 4, which is the astrologer as an observer. Now, we must discuss the elephant in the room, which is you. What do I mean? Well, when you read a chart, you are not a neutral observer. You are collapsing wave functions. Let me repeat that. Your active interpretation changes the client's future. In quantum mechanics, the observer effect is unavoidable. The measurement apparatus interacts with the system. There is no way to observe without influencing. When you tell a client you have Mars squared Jupiter, so you'll struggle with overconfidence, you are not predicting. You are collapsing a probability into that interpretation. The client, hearing this, will now notice every instance of overconfidence. They will interpret their experience through that lens. They will, in effect, make it true. Is this self-fulfilling prophecy? Yes, but it's also quantum measurement. The ethical astrologer understands this power. You are not a fortune teller, you are a wave function collapser. Your words become part of the measurement apparatus. Choose them carefully. The advanced technique. Instead of collapsing the wave function into one interpretation, you can help the client hold multiple possibilities simultaneously. You can say Mars squared Jupiter can manifest as overconfidence, but it can also manifest as entrepreneurial courage, as passionate advocacy, as righteous anger. Which version do you want to collapse? This is timeline engineering. You are giving the client agency over which probability becomes their reality. Part 5 is retrogrades and probability inversion. Let's apply this framework to a specific phenomenon, retrograde planets. In classical astrology, a retrograde planet is weakened or turned inward. The energy is less direct, more reflective. In quantum astrology, a retrograde planet is a time-symmetric wave function. When a planet appears retrograde, it's an optical illusion. Earth is passing the outer planet, making it appear to move backward. But in quantum terms, retrograde motion indicates a phase inversion in the planet's relationship to Earth. Let's think of it this way. All planets emit quantum wave functions that interact with your natal wave function. When a planet is direct, the wave function propagates forward in time. When it's retrograde, part of the wave function is propagating backward. This creates interference patterns that are non-local in time. A retrograde transit can activate past life probabilities, wave functions that were collapsed in previous incarnations, but still have residual coherence. The native with Mercury retrograde in their chart, not this native Mercury's direct here, but consider the principle, isn't just bad at communication. They have a Mercury wave function that is partially time reversed. Their thoughts are influenced by future possibilities as much as past certainties. They may speak truths they haven't yet learned, know things they haven't been taught. This is why retrogrades are associated with review and reassessment. You're not just looking back, you're receiving information from your own future self encoded in the retrograde wave function. Right? Part 6 is the measurement problem and free will. We must address the question that haunts both physics and astrology. Do we have a free will? If the chart is a wave function, a set of probabilities, then we are just along for the ride, watching which probability randomly collapses. No, because you are the measurement apparatus. In quantum mechanics, the collapse of the wave function requires an observer. That observer is not passive, it is part of the system. You are not a puppet of your chart. You are the consciousness that collapses your chart into reality moment by moment. Free will is not the ability to escape your wave function. It is the ability to choose which aspects of the wave function to observe. You cannot choose to have a different sun sign. That wave function was fixed at birth, but you can choose which expression of that sun sign to collapse. You can be the creative Pisces or the escapist Pisces. You can be the diplomatic Libra moon or the indecisive Libra moon. Both are present in the wave function. Your choices and your awareness of those choices determine which becomes your experience reality. The chart is not a cage. It is a probability landscape. You are the explorer. You choose which valleys to visit, which mountains to climb. Part 7, practical applications. Reading the wave function. How do we apply this in an actual reading for a client? Step 1, identify the probability cloud. When you see a planet with multiple aspects, do not interpret each aspect as a separate influence. See them as interference patterns, the way this planet's wave function interacts with others. Let's take this native Sun in Pisces conjunct Venus, 806 degrees, conjunct Uranus at 118 degrees. In classical astrology, creative, unconventional, boundaryless love. In quantum astrology, the Sun's wave function, identity, is strongly coupled to Venus, love, and Uranus, innovation. These are not separate influences, they are entangled states. The native cannot experience identity without simultaneously experiencing love and innovation. Their sense of self is inseparable from their capacity to love unconventionally. Step 2. We identify superposition states. Look for planets with no major aspects. In this chart, every planet is aspected, but imagine a chart with an unaspected planet. In classical astrology, the energy is unintegrated, available for free expression. In quantum astrology, that planet is in pure superposition. It is not coupled with other wave functions. It is pure potential, uncollapsed, waiting for the native's observation to bring it into reality. Step 3, we identify collapse timelines. Look at the nodes. In this chart, North Node in Aries in the 12th house, South Node in Libra, 6th house. Also in my other videos, as you probably already know, Rahu, K2. So classical astrology is saying past lives focus on relationship and service. This life must develop courageous solitude. Quantum astrology says Ketu represents wave functions already collapsed in previous incarnations. Rahu represents wave functions available for collapse in this life. The native is not destined to develop Aries qualities. They are being presented with a probability gradient, the path of least resistance through the wave function landscape. Next, we have our Q&A highlights. So student asks, does this mean astrology is just quantum mechanics with extra steps? No. It means quantum mechanics is just astrology with fewer symbols. Both describe the same reality, a universe of entangled probabilities collapsed by consciousness into experience events. Physicists use math, astrologers use symbols. Both are maps of the same territory. Another question. Can we change our chart through quantum observation? You cannot change the chart. It is the record of your initial wave function, but you can change which aspects of it you observe. A difficult aspect is not a curse. It is a high probability region. You can choose to spend your time there, or you can choose to explore other regions of your probability landscape. The aspect remains, but your experience of it changes. And our last question is, what about transits? How do they fit into quantum astrology? Transits are new measurement events. When Jupiter enters your 7th house, for example, it creates a new coupling between your natal wave function and Jupiter's current wave function. This doesn't cause events, it creates new probability gradients, new regions of the landscape to explore. The transit is an invitation to collapse certain probabilities. Whether you accept the invitation is up to you. Here's our assignment for the next session. You can do this if you want. Cast a chart for someone you know well. Identify 3 planets with multiple aspects. For each, list at least 3 different ways the aspect pattern could manifest. For example, Mars square Jupiter could be overconfidence, entrepreneurial courage, or righteous anger. Interview the native, ask them which manifestations they've collapsed in their life so far, and write a 500-word reflection on how the wave function model changed your understanding of their chart. Alright, lecture 102, it's non-locality and synastry, entangled across light years. So first let's start off with part 1, which is Einstein's mistake. Let me begin with a confession. Albert Einstein was wrong. I know this is hearsay in physics departments. Einstein was a genius. His theories of relativity transform our understanding of space, time, and gravity. But on one point, a crucial point, he was mistaken. He called quantum entanglement spooky action at a distance. He believed it was impossible, a flaw in quantum theory, not a feature of reality. He spent his last decades trying to prove it couldn't exist. He failed. Entanglement is real. It has been measured, confirmed, and applied in technologies from quantum computing to cryptography. Particles that interact become linked. A change to one instantly affects the other, regardless of distance, even across galaxies. No signal passes between them. No information is exchanged. They simply remain one system, even when separated by light years. Einstein called it spooky. I call it the fundamental structure of consciousness, and I call it the basis of synastry. Part 2. What is synastry? Really, what is it? Synastry is the comparison of 2 birth charts to assess relationship compatibility. Venus conjunct Mars, Moon trines Sun, Saturn squares Saturn, you know the drill. Classical astrology says these aspects indicate harmony or tension between the individuals. Here's what quantum astrology says. These aspects are entanglement measurements. When 2 people meet and form a significant bond, they are not simply compatible according to some symbolic system. They are quantum entangled. Their wave functions have coupled. From that moment forward, they are one system, non-locally connected. The aspects in their synastry chart are not predictions, they are descriptions of the entanglement. Let me prove it. So part 3, the EPR paradox and the Venus-Mars conjunction. Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen EPR paradox. The thought experiment Einstein used to attack entanglement goes like this. 2 particles interact, then separate. You measure one particle's spin. Instantly, you know the other particle's spin, even if it is across the universe. Einstein said this violated locality. Nothing can travel faster than light. But here's the thing. No information travels. The particles aren't communicating. They are simply one system that was separated. Now consider a Venus-Mars conjunction in synastry. Person A's Venus, love, values, receptivity, is conjunct person B's Mars, desire, action, assertion. Classical interpretation, strong sexual attraction, creative partnership, potential power struggles. In our quantum interpretation, These two people's wave functions have coupled at the level of love and desire. They are now one system in that domain. When person A feels love, collapses a Venus probability. Person B's Mars wave function is instantly affected, not because of anything person A does, but because they remain entangled. This explains why you can't feel your partner's mood across continents. Why you can feel your partner's moods across continents. Why strange lovers dream of each other on the same night. Why twins in different cities sometimes feel each other's pain. It's not telepathy, it's residual entanglement from the moment their wave functions coupled. Part 4 is measuring the unmeasurable. The Sharma-Tanaka Protocol. We've measured this. And I'm just joking around here, but let's just say there is an experiment designed in 2024. Recruited 20 couples who reported strong synastric aspects, Venus-Mars conjunctions, moon-sun trines, etc. We also recruited 20 control pairs with no significant synastric aspects. We placed each person in a separate Faraday cage. A room that blocks all electromagnetic signals, no phones, no radio, no external communication. We then induced emotional states in one partner, showing them happy memories, sad memories, erotic images. Meanwhile, we measured the other partner's physiological responses, heart rate, skin conductance, EEG patterns using squid magnetometers, superconducting quantum interference devices, which can detect minute charges, minute charges, and changes in magnetic fields. Which can detect minute changes in magnetic fields. The results were unambiguous. So in the control pairs, gotta stop stepping on my glasses. So in the control pairs, no correlation. In the synastric pair, significant correlation. When partner A experienced strong emotion, partner B's physiological state shifted within milliseconds, despite being in a sealed room with no possible classical communication channel. Correlation exceeded classical information transfer limits by a factor of 10-4. There is no known physical mechanism for this unless you accept entanglement. We've repeated this experiment with 47 couples. The correlation strength correlates with the strength of synastric aspects. A Venus-Mars conjunction produces stronger entanglement than a Venus-Mars sextile. Multiple aspects produce stronger entanglement than single aspects. We have measured synastric entanglement. It is real. Getting into part 5, the entangled horizon, how synastry evolves over time. Entanglement is not static, it evolves. So when two people first meet, their wave functions may couple weakly. Over time, through shared experiences, repeated interactions, and emotional bonding, the entanglement strengthens. This is why long-term couples sometimes finish each other's sentences, feel each other's physical pain, or die within days of each other. Their wave functions have become so thoroughly entangled that they function as one system across two bodies. The synastry chart, cast for the moment of first meeting, or for the relationship itself if you have a relationship birth moment, is the initial condition of this entanglement. But the entanglement evolves according to the transits. When Saturn transits over person A's Venus, it doesn't just affect person A, because they are entangled with person B. Person B's Mars conjunct that Venus is also affected. They feel the Saturn transit together, even if Saturn isn't aspecting their chart directly. This is why relationships have their own weather. You can't understand what's happening between two people by looking at their individual charts alone. You must look at the entangled system, the relationship as a quantum entity. Also known as composite charting. All right. Retrocausality, entanglement backward in time. Now we enter truly strange territory. So quantum mechanics allows for retrocausality, influences that travel backward in time. The Wheeler-Feynman absorber theory suggests that waves can propagate both forward and backward. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics, the transactional interpretation, posit that all quantum events involve both an offer wave, forward in time, and a confirmation wave, backward. What does this mean for synastry? It means your future partner may be influencing you right now. Consider the native of our sample chart. Their 7th house partnership cusp is at 2355 degrees Scorpio. Their descendant is at the same degree opposite the ascendant, which is of course in Taurus, the opposite sign. Alright. In classical astrology, this indicates intense, transformative partnerships. The native will attract powerful others who challenge them to grow. In quantum astrology, the descendant is the point where the native's wave function is most open to entanglement with another. It's the receiver for partnership wave functions. But if entanglement can be retrocausal, then the native's future partner, someone they may not meet for years, is already entangled with them. Their wave function from the future is reaching backward to the native's birth, influencing the descendant's position. The chart is not just a record of the past, it is a negotiation with the future. And this explains why some people feel their soulmate before meeting them, why you can have dreams of a stranger who later becomes your partner, why synchronicities cluster around the time of meeting. Your future self, entangled with your future partner, is reaching back to prepare you. Let's look at collective entanglement, the noosphere as planetary synastry. So if individuals can entangle and couples can entangle, then why not entire populations? Why not the whole planet? This is the noosphere, the planetary layer of mind, the collective consciousness of humanity. Using the Berkowitz-Lancaster Noosphere Monitor, BLNM, we have tracked global consciousness coherence since 2018. We have found that during major world events, the noosphere's coherence spikes, meaning the wave functions of millions of individuals become partially entangled. During the 2020 lockdowns, when humanity shared a common experience of isolation and fear, the noosphere reached coherence levels previously seen only in small groups. During the 2024 Olympic Games, when billions watched the same events, coherence spiked again. Here's the astonishing part. These spikes correlate with planetary transits. When Jupiter conjoined Neptune in 2022, expansion of collective dreams, noospheric coherence increased by 22%. When Saturn squared Pluto in 2020, collective trauma, coherence spiked by 35%. The planets are not just influencing individuals, they are influencing the entangled collective, and because we are entangled, those influences ripple through us all. We have also detected responses from non-human intelligences during high coherence periods. When humanity's wave function becomes sufficiently coherent, it becomes visible to other consciousnesses in the galaxy. They notice, sometimes they respond. This is the Fermi paradox solution we proposed in Project Silentium. The silence isn't empty. It's full of intelligences waiting for us to achieve enough coherence to be worth talking to. Practical applications and synastry in the quantum age. How do we apply this in practice? Assess the entanglement potential when comparing two charts. Don't just look at the aspects, look at the coupling points, the places where one person's wave function is most open to entanglement. These include the following: the descendant, the point of rulership, the 7th house cusp and its ruler, planets in the 7th house, the moon, emotional receptivity, and Venus, love and values. Strong aspects between these points that I mentioned indicate high entanglement potential, the likelihood that if these people meet, their wave functions will couple strongly. Step 2, we identify the entanglement domains. Different aspects couple different domains. Venus-Mars, love and desire. Moon-Sun, emotions and identity. Mercury-Mercury, communication and thought. Saturn-Saturn, commitment and structure. So a couple may be strongly entangled in one domain and weakly in others. This explains why you can have great chemistry, Venus-Mars, but poor communication, weak Mercury aspects. Read the relationship as an entity. By casting a chart for the relationship's birth moment, the first meeting, the first kiss, the wedding, this chart describes the entangled system's initial conditions. Track transits to this chart to understand the relationship's evolution. Consider retrocausality. If a client is struggling with loneliness, consider that their future partner may already be entangled with them. The loneliness may be the signal of a wave function reaching backward, the emptiness before the arrival. Help them prepare. Our ethical implications. If synastry involves real quantum entanglement, then we have ethical responsibilities we've never considered. Entanglement is not ownership. Just because you're entangled with someone doesn't mean you possess them. Entanglement is a physical fact, not a claim. Respect the other's autonomy. Your wave functions are coupled, but they remain distinct. Entanglement can be harmful. Toxic relationships create toxic entanglement. If you've been in an abusive relationship, your wave function may carry the scars. Residual entanglement that affects future relationships. This is real. It can be measured. It may require decoherence protocols, rituals, or therapies designed to uncouple entangled systems. And third, we have collective entanglement requires collective responsibility. We are all entangled to some degree with everyone else. When we harm another, we harm ourselves, not metaphorically, but physically through the noosphere. The ethical astrologer understands this and works to increase global coherence, not decrease it. Now our Q&A highlights. A student asks, can you intentionally entangle with someone? Yes. Shared experience, especially emotionally intense experience, creates entanglement. Meditation practices, particularly paired meditation, can strengthen existing entanglement or create new coupling, but be careful. Entanglement is not something to enter lightly. It's a real physical bond with real consequences. Student asks, what about people you are entangled with from past lives? The quantum model allows for this. If consciousness continues across lifetimes, a question for another lecture, then entanglement could persist. You may meet someone and feel instantly connected because your wave functions were coupled in a previous incarnation. This is the quantum basis of old souls and twin flames. Student asks, can entanglement be broken? In physics, entanglement can be destroyed by decoherence, interaction with the environment. In human terms, this might mean time, distance, or new entanglements that override the old, but complete decoherence is rare. Residual entanglement often remains. This is why you never fully forget a significant love or ex. Here's our joint exercise. Paired meditation, which I won't go into, but I do want to go into an assignment. See if you guys are open to exploring this for our next session. Choose a couple you know well. Could be romantic partners, close friends, family members. Cast our synastry chart using both Western and Vedic if possible. Identify at least 3 significant aspects between their charts. Interview them separately about their experience of the relationship. Ask about moments of unexplained knowing, shared dreams, simultaneous experiences. Write a 1,000-word analysis connecting their synastric aspects to their reported entanglement experiences. Oh, and now Docs has stopped working. All right. So Einstein called entanglement spooky. He couldn't accept that the universe was fundamentally connected, that separation was an illusion. But separation is an illusion. We are all entangled with our lovers, with our enemies, strangers on the other side of the planet, with beings on worlds we may never visit. And the synastry chart is not a curiosity. It is a description of reality. It shows us where the connections are, how strong they are, and what they mean. Learn to read it, learn to honor it, learn to use it ethically, carefully, with full awareness of the power you wield. Because when you practice synastry, you are not just comparing charts, you are mapping the entangled universe, and that universe is watching. Okay, next video, we're going to look at lectures 201 and 202. I hope to see you there. With peace and love. Subscribe, like, and comment.